Self-care and New Year's resolutions should be synonymous, but they aren't. Instead, most people end up trading one for the other. And as January 1st quickly approaches, more people are trading away their time for self-care to achieve their New Year's resolutions. Now, don't get me wrong, self-care does not mean that you aren't making progress towards your goals, but more equestrians need to take this idea and skill of coping ahead from the DBT manual. Hi, I'm Makayla, the host of Yoga for the Barn Aisle, and today I'm going to be talking to you about self-care, New Year's resolutions, and psychology skills from the DBT manual. It's a behavioral therapy manual, and the skill I want to talk about is coping ahead. First off, though, let's talk about the difference between self-care and being disciplined enough to achieve your goals. I'm all for working hard to achieve your goals as an equestrian. That's what I've been talking about for the past almost 15 episodes, and it's what's gotten me here to the point I am today as an equestrian life coach. But what I have noticed is I don't make the same type of progress when I'm not practicing self-care compared to the progress I make when I am still consistently taking care of myself. And as the New Year's approaches, I felt really called to talk about the importance of self-care while still showing up for your disciplined self as the new year brings about change of routines, habits, and rituals. So I think there's this common misconception about self-care. Self-care being that you're taking days to just sit on the couch, not do anything, and in that regard, you're not progressing towards your goals. Now, I don't think that the best self-care is to sit on the couch and do nothing, but I do think there is a time and a place for those types of activities. Sometimes we just need a mental break. Sometimes our depression means that doing the other self-care tasks that might be really, really great for you just aren't achievable. I actually just got off a call with my therapist talking just about this, of having days where doom scrolling on social media felt easier than getting on my yoga mat just for 10 minutes. It's sad, but it's true, and she reminded me that sometimes that's what depression feels like. So I want to recognize that self-care for mental health reasons may look very different than the consistent self-care you give yourself on your best days. Having good days doesn't mean working yourself till the wee hours of the morning, getting 5 hours sleep and doing it again. Self-care when you're achieving your goals looks like going to bed early, staying consistent with your mindfulness practices that you know work for you. For me, I know getting on my yoga mat in the morning, meditating, and journaling are the 3 things I can do every day that make me feel the best. They make me feel like I'm achieving something. They allow me to hold the vision of who I want to be, and they also help me reset and take care of my mind and body. But not all the time is this possible for me. The other thing I want to talk more about is the idea of DBT. Now, this stands for Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. It is a manual written by a woman who dealt with depression and suicidal ideation at a time when there wasn't great resources for her to have on hand to help her deal with her mental health struggles. I myself have worked through the DBT workbook to some extent, not completely, but I think this idea of coping ahead is really important, and it's something that stuck with me even if I'm not actively using the manual. So this idea of coping ahead means that you have recognized that there might be something that's going to challenge you in the future. And then looking at it is how can you plan ahead to help you manage what will occur, whether it's a mental health struggle or physical fatigue from a hard day at work. You're thinking about what can I do to either prep ahead of time or prepare for a reset afterwards. This idea of coping ahead has helped me through holidays because I am quite introverted and being with my family all day long can be quite draining. But it's also helped me approach finals at school. I wish it would have helped me approach horse shows. I wish I knew about coping ahead when I was still competing. But I think that's why it's so important for me to talk about it today. So I'm going to use the horse show competition idea first, just to really facilitate how this can be used as an equestrian. And then we're going to talk about how you can use it as a supportive system for your New Year's resolutions and as self-care. So for a horse show, most of the time this means really early wake-ups, long days, hard to get food in your system, and this constant going energy. So if you take the idea of coping ahead, that might look like making sure you actually have 2 filled water bottles instead of 1. Because if one runs out, are you really going to be able to go fill it up right when you need to? Or are you going to go half the day without water before realizing that you haven't had water for half the day and you're probably dehydrated at this point? Maybe it will look like packing snacks. Maybe not packing a meal, but packing small snacks that you can eat throughout the day to keep you going. Especially if you have a nervous stomach and you're planning to ride later that day and you know you can't eat a big meal before your ride. And beyond those 2 ideas for coping ahead at a horse show, there may be others that might be really useful for you. Think about it and then let me know in the comments what would also be helpful. Now taking the idea of coping ahead to your New Year's resolutions. And this starts at step 1 of defining what your New Year's resolutions are, setting your goals, whatever you want to call it. When you're setting your goals, you also need to recognize what's important for you to keep doing or start doing to not burn out. You can't make progress if you're burnt out. And this is where coping ahead and including self-care strategies in your coping ahead plan is your masterpiece. It's so important. So coping ahead might look like setting a reminder on your phone to check in with yourself. See what's working, see what's not working. Notice if the goals you set for yourself still align with what you want. And there's a difference here of it getting difficult, it feels like a struggle, and you're hitting a challenging point, and going, okay, I've been working at this goal, but it just doesn't feel good anymore. This doesn't align with what I truly want. Maybe it's you wanted to level up, and the more you ride, the more you practice, you recognize that actually the goal you want is to technically get better at this one skill that may or may not help you to level up in the show ring, but it's this idea of I want to get better at this one thing instead because that's what I want to focus on. That feels more aligned than blindly just trying to get to the bigger jumps. Coping ahead allows you to plan to check in with yourself. It allows you to plan to take care of yourself. And equestrians are really bad at taking care of themselves. Let's just be honest here. We prioritize our horses, and while that's admirable, we have to remember ourselves. And that's why I wanted to talk about self-care and New Year's resolutions and how they really should go hand in hand, and yet no one talks about this. No one talks about needing to be able to thrive with your New Year's resolutions instead of just trying to push yourself to change, to overhaul your life. It doesn't go well. So this has been a really quick, short podcast episode, but that's really what it's meant to be. It's just a reminder that you need to include self-care when setting your New Year's resolutions. That self-care is an important skill, especially as an equestrian. And I say skill because it takes practice to understand the importance of self-care for you and to understand what self-care looks like for you, because everyone's a little bit different. Sure, I could say journal, movement, sleep, but maybe one of those things is more important to you than the other. You still have to take the time to get to know yourself, and it's imperative that you do that before you set your New Year's resolutions. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you could like, subscribe, follow us wherever you're listening and or watching. And if you're looking for more, check out callebautyoga.com. It's our website linked in all bios across platforms. And there you can see the courses we're currently offering, as well as hop on the email list. This is the best thing you can do if you want VIP access to new up-and-coming programs, workshops, courses, as well as being one of the people that I go to ask what you want to see when building a new course. I want your input. I want to see what you want from a life coach like me. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.